Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Today we tell you the cornerback move the Vikings absolutely have to make and why it's Duke Shelley.
What's up? I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Don't worry, Arif. I didn't write any poetry this time.
What's going on, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Hey, to the guy that bought my Thielen jersey on Marketplace 2 years ago, hit me up. I just want to talk.
Hey, this is Arif with Wide Left Football. One, Luke, that was arguably not poetry the last time. Two, we will discuss our lads and the new features it has and see if we can tempt Inman into closing his computer once again.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What is happening? Thursday edition Vikings Squad Show streaming live. Locked On Sports Minnesota and the Locked On Vikings YouTube channels. Help them both get to 10,000 subscribers. Our audio can be found in the Locked On Vikings podcast feed along with the daily 30-minute edition of Locked On Vikings with Luke Braun. So glad you've joined us today. Leave some comments for us. Leave some snark for us. We're talking plenty of Adam Thielen, including the barren Vikings cornerback room and the next move they have to make. We also rank the 7 UDFAs that made the 53-man roster. Holy cow, that's a big number.
My favorite part of that is that before the show you were checking and the first person you named wasn't even a UDFA. It was just not stuff.
Surely Xavier Scott is on that list. Nope. Au contraire. We also talked to Ron Johnson, get his prediction for Gophers Buffalo tonight. I'm worried about Josh Allen and James Cook. I mean, they can really stress a defense. I think that, but the Gophers are favored by 17, but Buffalo, man, no one's going to laugh. No one's even going to chuckle. A little rim shot.
That's so funny. I just overwhelmed by humor.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, I'm doing my show prep.
Sam makes one joke and nobody laughs.
Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Adam Thielen is back in Minnesota. This is big. This is exciting. This is fun. Reunions don't always work out the way you hope they will. We saw this.
I love Randy Moss.
This
what
one
are you
will.
talking about?
This one
we
will.
love Randy Moss.
We're due.
Might have
He
some
threw it past to Brett Favre.
caterers.
It was cool. It didn't count, but whatever.
Kevin Garnett's reunion, pretty bad. Torrey Hunter came back to the Twins. That was pretty.
Right.
That was pretty
That was
cool.
good. Yeah,
that was a good year. This one I think has a really good chance to work out. Now I don't know how it's going to work out beyond week 3, and that's where I want to start. Where does Adam Thielen fit when Jordan Addison comes back? Is it immediate relegation? Is Jalen Naylor shut out completely from this offense as the wide receiver 4? He becomes the Trent Sherfield.
It depends on Jalen Naylor's hand, right? Well, I guess hand.
He's not pupped, so we're assuming that he's. I think there was a report he had a procedure and is targeting week 1.
Yeah,
sure.
So he'll be probably questionable for week 1.
Is it going to help him catch? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm putting Thielen on the field in most contexts over Naylor, unless I just need a clear out guy. Naylor's going back to what he did in 2023, where he just ran clear outs. Enjoy your cardio season, bub.
Yeah. No, okay, so I think that primarily a lot of Adam Thielen's 3 receiver usage will be to beat up on safeties and less to actually run a route to catch a ball. A lot of mesh rub picks, a lot of we're converting this play into a run, and so we're going to be running it straight through Adam Thielen. Kind of like just a small tight end, I think, is what his role is going to be in 3 wide receiver sets. I don't know that he's going to have a ton of participation in a full route tree. I just think that there's not as much left there for you to kind of treat him as a whole receiver.
Do you think that extends out though a little bit in the red zone where he's been so good, so efficient?
No, you got to throw the ball in the red zone. Are you kidding me?
Come on now, right?
Yeah.
So Naylor last year as the wide receiver 3 got between 14 and 44 snaps a game. Like his heavy usage, he was getting 40 snaps a game as wide receiver 3. So when Thielen is relegated to that, and I tend to think he will be, I don't think they're going to disgruntle Jordan Addison over this. I think that Thielen becomes your 3, but probably running a little more 11 than they may have even anticipated. Would you agree?
For sure.
Braun?
No CJ Ham too for that time, so you kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
So Naylor's the loser in all this. Naylor contract year, kind of like KJ Osborne a few years ago, trying to get that contract, trying to cash in multi-year deal in the offseason. Probably not looking great in that context, which is crazy because he was like literally going to be their wide receiver 2 not that long ago, and now it's like, well, is he even healthy?
3.5 days ago.
On the field?
3 days ago.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You missed that opportunity. And
He's the big loser, right? Number 1 with a bullet. Big drop off. You're talking about going from maybe a lot of 12 personnel to 11. Maybe Josh Oliver doesn't see the field quite as much as well, but that's a huge tier in between those two. Naylor definitely the guy who's going to lose out on a lot of reps and a lot of opportunities too, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you want to give Thielen 45 reps at 35 years old too. So like Naylor still can get some, and you can spell the old guy, but I don't know. It hasn't really stopped Carolina in the last 2 years. He led the team in targets when active by a lot. Like he was like the guy of their offense, which is why I'm surprised they parted ways with him for day 3.
Yeah, no, I'm really shocked about that. Okay, so for me, the take actually is I don't know that either team actually ended up coming out of that better necessarily. Like I, of course.
So it was a good compromise.
Yeah,
everybody's unhappy.
Yeah,
lose.
I of course love the story of Thielen. I love having him back in Minnesota. I'm just concerned. I think you take all these calculators, you see, okay, like it's effectively like a late 4th rounder, depending on like kind of which calculator, early 5th, mid 4th, whatever. It's in that range, right? And I don't think that every 4th, 5th rounder is going to turn into like Stephon Diggs, right? Or I guess like a Tyreek Hill is another example of a 5th rounder. Or even like a Gabe Davis, right? But I do think that there is the possibility that we're sacrificing, 4 years of control over a player that's got the ability to kind of contribute somewhat regularly. I understand the Vikings haven't had like a wonderful track record recently in the middle rounds, but for 1 year of a 35-year-old where I just think that the way that a lot of aging occurs in football is that people fall off a cliff. It's not really a ton of gradual decline. You just fall off a cliff. And we already know Thielen no longer he didn't have the speed when he left Minnesota, right? And his separation, I think, has been declining. I think that they put him on routes that make separation a little bit easier. His catch radius stuff is outstanding. It's incredible. He still has, that ability. I still think he's going to be really useful in the red zone for that reason. I think he's going to be useful as an outlet. But I am just a little bit concerned that this was probably not the right move for Minnesota because they do need to make long-term investments in that depth, even though their previous attempts at those long-term investments haven't been like super wonderful, right? So that's kind of my concern because like you can't run a full route tree with him. He doesn't. You're not getting a bunch of man beaters with him. He's not running away from corners or linebackers. So I'm a little bit concerned that you just don't have as much available to you as you kind of hope because we remember this Adam Thielen from 2019 and we can say in our heads, well, we know he's not the same guy as he was in 2018, 2019. Right. But like the reality of it is he's 35. And so there's a lot less available. Like he was the leading receiver for Carolina. I strongly encourage you to watch those games and see what he's doing. It's not getting away from people. It's a lot of like, hey, we're running an out route and it's the sideline stuff. So you have exclusive access to the ball. And we're just going to rely on your catch radius to do it. And at some point that stops working.
Contested catch rate's still really good, which is huge. Go ahead, Luke.
I was just going to say it was that. I watched a lot of Panthers last year as well. It was that, and then Panthers down 2-3 scores in the 4th quarter and going up against some soft prevent defense. And I'm not saying he chewed up a lot of his stats that way. But he definitely inflated some of those numbers for sure, and kind of that not necessarily garbage time, but just playing up against some softer, not press, not man, deep zone coverage, soft kind of secondary stuff too. So go ahead with your stats. One question I want to ask you guys too when you're done, as far as week one and Adam Thielen goes. But go ahead, Sam.
Well, I was just going to say it kind of cracks me up that we had this whole negotiation in the media, like Schefter's going on TV, and clearly he's had stuff leaked, and there's all this talk about the compensation, this fierce negotiation going on. And at the end of the day, they each give 2 draft picks to the other team, and on late in day 3, it's like it's just hilarious that was the subject of this intense negotiation under hot lights in a bunker underground with Kwesi and the Carolina GM going over.
Both of them have brought the art of the deal. Like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it was about Carolina wanted a 4th. Minnesota doesn't have a 4th because they traded for Cam Robinson last year. And it sounded like the negotiation was about finding a way to either recreate the value of a 4th or just give them a different 4th, but they had to reach all the way to 2027 to find a 4th that they could part with. And then the trade got really weird. If you do plug it into all of the trade calculators, like the draft charts and stuff, depending on how you project like late round versus early round, like how you think the Panthers and Vikings will finish, it's like a 5th. It amounts to about a 5th rounder worth of compensation after like deferring future picks for the way you're supposed to and all that.
Yeah, I'm not tripping at all about the compensation. I think it's going to be really fun if he stays healthy. I think there's some meat left on the bone. I think this is probably the swan song, don't you? Like this, he was contemplating retirement already. He was contemplating not even playing this season. Came back, felt re-energized, had a good end of the year. And I think this is it for him. Like, I think this is the farewell. And how often does that happen? Where he
was already going to go into the Ring of Honor, right?
I would think so.
Oh yeah.
So this is just that final chapter, just a little cherry on top for him.
If he goes nuts this year, and I think 900 yards is a stretch, but he could pass Anthony Carter in career receiving yards. It could be Carter, Moss, Jefferson, Thielen as your top 4 in receiving yards. He's going to end probably with over 60 Vikings touchdowns. He'll have played, is it 10 years in purple, I think, with this season? What was it? His first year of practice squad was 13.
13 was practice squad.
So he already has 10, active. Technically. This would be 11. Yeah. 11 years. Yeah, this strengthens an already really ironclad legacy. I think you could still have debated, is he Mount Rushmore, right? There's probably one spot open on the Mount Rushmore. Is it Thielen? Is it Reed? Is it Carter? Is it Diggs? And I think this probably helps Thielen get his face carved in that.
Sure. Do those 60 touchdowns include his special teams touchdowns as well?
I don't even think it does. I think it's just receiving.
So what I was going to ask you guys, I was thinking about this the other day. I guess yesterday. If they don't play in Soldier, if they don't play a division rival week 1, does this trade still happen? Do you think there was a little bit of extra pressure saying, if it was, a non-conference opponent, especially, you come back week 2, it's Atlanta, week 3, it's Cincinnati at home. Do they just lick their wounds a little bit, take their lumps? Or do you think they felt that pressure of, dude, it's week 1. We got to be ready to roll. We can't roll with, JJ and then what?
Ty Felton would have been wide receiver 2. I don't think that.
Yeah, I think they would make this move kind of regardless of who those opponents in the first 3 games were going to be, or at least make a move. I'm pretty confident it would be this move because it seemed like they were pretty honed in on Thielen. It sounded like they were in on a couple of other trades, right? Like I think Kendrick Bourne, for example, was one of the trades that they were confirmed to have kind of been on, and he just got cut straight up. So you grab him now if you want. He's free. I think that kind of just because, you don't have Jalen Naylor at full strength potentially. So you obviously don't have Jordan Addison, but also just generally speaking, your wide receiver depth is not great. And so it's a good move, abstractly to add a guy that is reliable in a way that a typical waiver wire ad is just not going to be. Plus, here's like another nice thing. He has worked out with JJ McCarthy. Like they worked out together in the summer. So like to the extent that produces a little bit more chemistry, which everyone seems convinced it does, and I think that's reasonable. That gives you a little bit more of an edge over somebody like a Kendrick Bourne, who like, yeah, maybe I would have preferred adding Kendrick Bourne for a little bit less, but that doesn't make this move like catastrophic or bad or anything like that. I did want to address, sorry, okay, there's two comments I wanted to talk about because Sloth's comment is extremely funny. Christian Ponder's last in Vikings history with negative 15 receiving yards. Outstanding work. But track pat.
Was that a lateral end of
that like a double pass?
Got a Brad Johnson to
Johnson.
A
deflection. I'm guessing he catches a deflection.
And lost 15, huh?
But I wanted to talk about Track Pat's comment. You know, they have like 11 picks or whatever next year. Why are we worried about day 3 pick swaps? This far out, in fact, even right before the draft, don't worry about the number of picks they have. That's just gonna change. The number of picks they enter a draft with, not the number of picks that they'll exit with. Worry about the amount of capital that they have and what they're working with and what they can engineer and move around with. Especially because for the Vikings, trading during the draft seems more expensive than it is for other teams because Kwesi, for all of his like financial background, is not very good at trading in the draft. And so I think having additional capital is a good thing to kind of want and desire, even if like maybe the 4th round pick isn't what you want. But what if you wanted to trade up in the 2nd round to get a guy who's falling and you can't do that? Like that's the way I think that you should be thinking about those things, not, hey, they've got such and such number of picks, because that kind of doesn't matter, especially this far out.
It goes into like the aggregate value of a draft pick is more like a 6th round pick. It's not often accurate to think of, oh, well, that's just a Gavin Bartholomew, which I say that sometimes too. Like we're all guilty of falling into that trap sometimes, but like it is sometimes that a 6th round pick can turn into a veteran cornerback when you really need one in August, or it can be that extra thing that lets you trade up in the 1st round the way you wanted to or whatever. It also represents 4 years of team control on a player, whereas Adam Thielen, you get him for 1 year, maybe not even, maybe you just kind of use him a little bit more for 3 weeks, burn out the tires, and then maybe take him to the British Isles just as a favor, and he retires on the bye. Who knows?
Yeah, just as soon as you get
him
back,
a Manny's steak.
You send him to wide receiver coaching camp upstate.
Right.
I asked.
Look, if he retires on the bye, I would not be mad at him. I would get it, But you got to do the London Ireland trip if you're going to do that.
Got it. Right?
Yeah.
Just and then just
not even practice.
Around
just kind of see the sights.
Yeah. Italian.
Just
hang out.
A Jaguar. Yeah. Just
let me tweak the question. Forget about the Bears week 1. They were going to go get a wideout either way. If Jalen Naylor doesn't get hurt, do they still go target a guy like Thielen or any wideout for that matter?
I think they're less urgent about it and more price conscious if Jalen Naylor doesn't get hurt. But I still think that they're active in these trade markets. Deshaunte Peterson, why does everyone just see the worst from this trade? It's not that I see the worst. It's that the best is obvious. We've already talked about the best. Everyone knows what the positives are, and I fully embrace the possibility that we'll hit those positives. I just think we haven't talked a lot about what kind of the risks associated with this trade are. Adam Thielen rules. I don't want to undercut that, nor do I want to undercut the possibility that he could produce 50 yards a game for the first 3 games with Jordan Addison out, and that would be a huge boon. And I was having a conversation actually with somebody who's involved or embedded in the analytics space, who was trying to convince me that this was actually a really good trade for the Vikings. And so I'm not saying all of these eggheads hate it, and I think he was making some pretty good arguments. He was making an argument, for example, that you shouldn't think about it in terms of the aggregate output that you'll get over the course of the season as a wide receiver 3. That's the wrong way to think about it, because the way wins above replacement works is that the more value you can add in an individual game because of an injury, that's going to have a bigger impact than replacing a wide receiver 3 in week 7 with a better.
You could end up adding a whole win if you're the difference that 1 week.
Exactly.
And it doesn't really matter if you get put back on the bench when Addison's back.
So the impact of those 3 games, especially for a team like the Vikings that is just not guaranteed to win 11 games, right? That 1 win is going to matter a lot to their playoff hopes and their seeding. I mean, it's true for every team, but I think it's particularly true for the Vikings, who have an 8.5 win total. There's a bunch here to be positive about. I just want to make sure that we hold enough space for a discussion about the negative stuff or the risky stuff. I don't think it's necessarily a catastrophic move or that the Vikings should be pilloried for this. I had more concern about them picking Donovan Jackson like 10 spots ahead of where the consensus board than I am about the whatever on this trade. It's not a huge concern, but I did want to talk about it.
Deshante, just for you, there's a point I want to make that is obvious, but we haven't talked about it yet. What Carolina liked about Thielen so much was what he did for Bryce Young as a chemistry, veteran leadership, like mentor, that kind of thing, but also just being where he's supposed to be when he is supposed to be there, and more being able to catch the ball, right? Like not necessarily making all the separation, but being where the scheme needs you to be, and not, drifting your route, not getting too far off of the stem. Like there was one for Thayer Thomas rep from the preseason that was hilarious. He ended up like over the hash and like couldn't get there, and then the ball falls incomplete. Like getting to where the quarterback expects you to be and being really reliable about that, I think is why Bryce Young over-targeted him so much, even with a first-rounder next to him, at least when Thielen was healthy last year. And I think having that for our young quarterback is also really helpful and valuable, versus if it was going to be like Ty Felton, he's a rookie. Those mistakes would be totally understandable and expectable, but still like damaging. And you want your young quarterback to be able to rely on where the guy is. So just getting any veteran would be able to kind of check that box. And I think Thielen in particular is like famous for that with Bryce Young.
Yeah. If you view this as an overpay, this is why you overpay, because of those intangibles. 100%. Let's pause and come back with the cornerback move that needs to be made. Ron Johnson also joins soon. Brought to you today by FanDuel. FanDuel Futures Day was just a couple days ago. You can still put together your futures parlays. What's the parlay I'm thinking? 4-team division winner parlay. Of course, got the Minnesota Vikings. I've got the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix, San Francisco 49ers, and Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. $10 pays $1,000. That's my futures parlay at FanDuel, and you can put together a ridiculous parlay like that as well for a big payoff. I like FanDuel. I like how easy it is. I like the deals, the promotions that they have. Makes the game more exciting, and when it's a future, makes the whole season exciting. From September to December, I'm going to be sweating those 4 teams. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Bet 5, get 300. The deals don't get better than that. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel.com, FanDuel Sportsbook app, and place your first $5 bet. All right, cornerback moves. Vikings keep 4 corners. They cut my guy, Zamiah Vaughn.
Rip.
Let me just take a moment. Let's take a moment. Oh, okay, hold it together. Zamiah Vaughn to the practice squad. So Dwight McGlothern's your top backup. Jeff Okudah gets injured. It's nudie time. What is the cornerback move that the Vikings need to make? We also hear from Ron Johnson shortly, but let's whip it around the horn. Give me an idea, Inman, on cornerback. How do you address it?
I mean, yeah, after cut down day, there's obviously, some surprise cuts out there. I'm going through each team right now. Kalen King from Green Bay, Mike Hilton, we talked about. Juju Brents, he was a second rounder for Indy 2 years ago. He's only played 11 games. There's guys out there. I think it depends on what Flores is looking for, not just in his prototypical cornerback, being able to leave the guy out on an island, maybe, when you think about being a 4th or 5th corner, though, how much special teams are you going to have to play? Can you stand out in that area and just be dependable as well? Do they look for a guy like Stephon Gilmore to bring back that just knows his defense inside and out, maybe can't run with the best of them anymore, but mentally is going to be consistent for you? Or do they look for a guy with a little bit more upside, like a younger guy with a little more athleticism, but maybe some more question marks too? We're at the point in the offseason here, despite some quote unquote splashy cuts, picking's thin, man. I mean, I like Mike Hilton, like we've talked about. Luke's brought him up last week as well, quite a bit. But like anybody you grab right now isn't really going to make me feel that much better about this cornerback room right now. So there's some names out there, kind of pick your flavor. And again, just kind of looking at what Flores wants. I think Mike Hilton would be a great fit. But at this point, August 28th, beggars really can't be choosers, I think, Sam.
Yeah, Braun. I mean, if you were going to make the Gilmore move last year, he signed August 18th. Okay, that gives you 3 weeks. They're starting practice like tomorrow. Like they are going to be preparing for the Chicago Bears.
It's booked.
You need the body in the building, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of urgency to do that.
I'm thinking a little bigger, Sam. I'm thinking of maybe making a little bit of a bigger splash. I'm looking over at Seattle where they can't pay anybody they're supposed to pay because of an ownership.
Reek.
Well, he needs a new contract.
Yeah.
Seahawks aren't necessarily going to do it, even though they really should for cash reasons. What if they made a little bit of a splash?
I also love the idea that it's like, yeah, we're pretty weak at nickel quarter. Anyway, let's get this 6'4", 220 guy.
They have literally one. So there are 6 cornerbacks in the building in total, including practice. 6.
So you do just have to
in the
have
whole
corners,
building.
But it is like funny.
The Vikings building or the
all of them are exclusively outside corners. But bring in Reek. Well, so here's the thing: you bring in Reek Will and you extend him, and because you also need a long-term solution at this position too. That's what has never happened with this cornerback group, and why I feel like I'm going insane every time. Just another 1-year vet min deal, bro. Like, just trust me, bro. Like another 1-year guy will fix it. It's like
just one more lane, bro.
Just like, can we please have some solution that's a little more long term? They've got what, Byron Murphy and Dwight McGlothern under contract next year, and that's it. Is that
Isaiah?
it?
No, Isaiah's signed for 2 years.
Oh, Isaiah's a 2-year thing. Cool. He'll be on a contract year. Like, why these solutions are all short term, and we're going to moneyball this every single year with a whole bunch of washed up vets. Or let's get a serious cornerback, extend him, and have a room we can actually feel reasonable about that isn't an emergency every damn offseason.
So
yeah, passionately stated.
Someone in the of course Arif knows. Okay. Someone in the comments mentioned Denzel Ward. I find that kind of intriguing because he does run out of guaranteed money in 2026. And so he's got like 12.5 guaranteed this year. He costs a ton of money, and the Vikings don't have a ton in 26 or 27 in terms of cap space. But I support rescue efforts, and I feel like getting somebody out of Cleveland is probably a good spot. Plus, it does give you a little bit more versatility inside outside if you grab somebody like a Denzel Ward. But getting somebody who is at the final year of their contract, who is not really likely going to see that money, especially because he hasn't already been extended. Reek Willen would be fun. I think Shaq Griffin is also technically currently on the Seahawks right now.
Yes.
No, he got cut.
Oh, he got cut. Okay.
Yep.
So you could add him. You could add Stephon Gilmore.
I don't know if he got back on the practice squad or not, though. Let me look it up.
That doesn't matter.
The unwavering belief that Jeffrey Okudah is going to start, be good, and be healthy. Biggest gamble that Brian Flores has taken among many.
Of all people, Sam Ekstrom. That's crazy. The Jeff Okudah guy.
Ron Johnson joining us. He was on yesterday's Viking Squad show. We talked a lot about the cornerback position. Whoa, look at that.
What? Oh, he's ready.
Okay.
Wow. Ron Johnson.
Okay.
Circa 2001.
Covering the spread. 17.5. Covering it.
Ron Johnson joins, Gophers helmet on, at 3 Ron Johnson, host of the Ron Johnson Show. Welcome in. Big Gophers season opener tonight.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Let's go.
Let's just tackle this right now. What's the final score tonight in Drake Lindsey's? There are a lot of parallels between the Vikings and Gophers. We got a couple quarterbacks that sat on the sidelines last year, now taking over a team. Drake Lindsey, how's he going to look tonight against Buffalo?
Gophers by 1 million. I'm gonna go. They're gonna put up at least 42. I gotta say 42 to like 7.
7.
What in
they
the
got
past?
a good run. Buffalo has a good run game though. I will say that. Buffalo runs the ball, so I'll say like 42 to 14. But yeah, like I just feel like with this offensive line, PJ continues to talk about this transactional but transformation program. You know, like it's not just a transaction. They're still trying to grow players. They're still trying to get them in and be a transformational program. They're still trying to create guys like Coy Parrish. And the offensive line, even though it's a bunch of new guys, continues to have these Ariante Ursary, John Michael Schmidt type guys that they continue to recruit. Brian Callahan does a great job of getting those guys ready to go. And, you know, I mean, they've put out a 1st and 2nd round pick, I think, like the last 6 years one of 6 schools to do that. So, or one of 9 schools to do that, one of the 2, or one of 6 schools to do that, something like that. But yeah, they continue to do it. And, whether Coy Parrish is able to leave early, I don't think he can. I think he has to wait one more year.
Not this year, yeah. 2027 draft, though, I want him. I want the next Travis Hunter because he's going to play wide receiver.
Go get your guys.
Safety and wide receiver, Ron. We expect to see him catch passes tonight.
Oh yeah, tonight he will. Not in the NFL though. He's not Travis Hunter. Let's be clear there. Like he can get it done in a college setting. I expect that tonight from him when you think about Buffalo and as an offense and honestly, like my key to the game, and I'm going to bring it up later today on the pregame show as I prepare to eat a nice little lunch. And I just mapped it out. It said it's going to be an hour and 17 minutes to get to campus around 3:00. So I'm like, this is crazy. But State Fair plus Gopher traffic and people getting out of school. So it's just going to be an absolute nightmare on a Thursday. But yeah, like my key to the game is it's something I forgot what I typed it up. It's probably in my notes somewhere. But basically it's define your identity. Like nobody knows what this identity of this offense is for this team. And so they have to find their identity tonight. And I think it's going to come down to a little bit of Coy Parrish, but a lot of Darius Taylor. And then they got to find the next, receiver. Like which one of these guys is going to step up and be the guy? Is it going to be a tight end? Is it going to be a receiver? Nobody knows. Like none of these names jump out to you like a Daniel Jackson. You can say we got a Daniel Jackson. We got a Rashad Bateman. We got a Tyler Johnson. They don't have that. An Eric Decker. Like they got to find who that guy is tonight too.
Simply acquire an Eric Decker. Yeah.
Yeah, could go do that.
Ron,
find the one that's already in your program.
Right.
So that's what we'll see. We'll see who. I think it could be the transfer from UCLA. He's been good, and then the freshman has looked really good. And so I think when you think about these receivers and their abilities, it's and also who makes Drake Lindsey comfortable. I think that's going to be a question tonight.
Ron, can't wait to chop it up with you after the Gophers game.
Postcast
reaction on a postcast. But I just want to continue that conversation. Darius Taylor, he's the guy. This offense is going to run through him, like you said. But I mean, you're tapped in. You go to the Gophers practices. You know ball, right? Tell me which guy: Lemeki Brockington, Logan Loya, Javon Tracy, Jamison Gears. Like, who do you think is going to be the guy? If you had to put money on it, who's going to be the guy to step up and try to fill those shoes of Daniel Jackson?
Jalen Smith. He's a kid that everybody seems to like. Mankato, Minnesota product. We know another kid from Detroit Lakes that went to Mankato that's back in Minnesota now. So, I think between Loyola and Jalen Smith, I think those two are going to be it. Like that's going to be the biggest part of this. Darius Taylor 4 touchdowns. I agree with that. I agree with the messenger right there. Like that seems like the plan. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Jalen Smith is a name that I've heard a bunch from Fleck. I think Lemeki Brockington is kind of the quote unquote like easy answer. He's been around there. But Jalen Smith has wowed the people. Logan Loya. Again, he's the transfer guy that I'm talking about. He has 1 year left. And, what can he do with this short amount of time? Can he make, a quick name for himself to try to get an opportunity to get into the NFL? We'll find out. He's also a kick returner, punt returner as well. We'll see who's going to do all that duties too, because we know Coy Parrish can do it, but can he do punt, return, and do offense and defense as much as he wants to do without, one, exhausting himself, potentially getting hurt? You look at Gears, and then you also have the kid from Purdue that transferred into Bieber. So I think that's going to be like a nice, again, it comes down to the quarterback. Who can he find? Who's going to make him comfortable? I think that's who he'll go to the most. But the 1-2 punch of AJ Turner, and Darius Taylor, I saw them at the State Fair, and I said it to him. I'm like, so you guys are kind of the 1-2 punch, and they kind of looked at each other and laughed, and was like, yeah, I guess so. So we'll see what that looks like tonight. A kid out of Marshall, he's played college football, and so I think that's the other key. They're not just bringing in another freshman. They have 2 veteran running backs who potentially can get it done, and so we'll see tonight.
Yeah, can't wait. Postcast with Ron and Luke tonight. Cause and Effect has been in the comments talking Vikings. He's asking, why are the Vikings not pursuing a cornerback trade? And Ron, we talked about this at length yesterday. It seemed like the Vikings were very forward about trying to go trade for a wide receiver. There was a lot of media buzz about that, a lot of urgency. Not hearing the same type of urgency at corner. So are we just overly anxious? Or the Vikings, do you think the Vikings are actually pretty calm about their cornerback situation right now? Or is something brewing behind the scenes that we just don't know about?
I mean, their knees weak and their arms are heavy. There's vomit on the floor already. Mom spaghetti. No. He looks nervous to drop bombs. He's ready. But he forgot what he wrote down. The whole crowd. No.
But no. Keep going.
No. I'd say it's like a duck. You know what I mean? Like on the surface, calm, cool, collected. Underneath, they're churning those little legs. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of like, and I think they're fine with the 4 they have. I think they're like, look, we can get this done with the defense we play. Again, I keep saying, go back to last year, how many corners actually, were on the field helping the defense. And I think maybe Brian Flores is realizing that, like, he needs more safeties in this system than he does corners. If there is somebody out there, they have another week. So technically next Tuesday is kind of that last, like, okay, boom, Tuesday, here's our 53. Wednesday, we start practice with our 53. They're going to practice this week. We know that, like today, tomorrow, I think a little bit Saturday. They're off Sunday. They're going to treat it like a true season deal. Monday, come in for treatment, do what you got to do. Tuesday's your day off. All final transactions are going to happen. I mean, nothing's final in the NFL. But then Wednesday, we'll kind of get if they can pull a guy in. And, I mean, we've seen it. You'll see Wednesday, Thursday maybe if they're not happy with this week's. Because, again, they want to get through this week of practice. They also want to get through maybe a little bit next week. Guys are flying in, doing workouts now because there's a lot of guys getting cut. They got cut yesterday that are booking trips, like you said, I heard Luke say that, Kalen King, Kobe's little brother, he's out in Carolina now. So, that's going to happen. You're going to see a lot of movement where guys are getting cut, guys are working out. Tyler Johnson was on the 53, got released. Now he's back on the Jets practice squad. So I'm not going to say it's all but done. But if there is a name out there they don't spend a ton of money for, or a trade that potentially doesn't hurt anything else they have, again, they have 75,000 6-round picks. So, is 5 of them enough to get a guy that you need that a team wants? I think that's to be seen. Because, let's be 100% honest. The way they're looking at these free agents now that made the team or undrafted guys, I think Kwesi realizes like 6-7 round picks to him and his scouting department is the same as a free agent group. So, maybe that's why they were trying to say, look, we didn't have a lot of draft picks, but look how many undrafted free agents we signed that are going to, potentially help us out this year. I mean, was it number 7? So, yeah. I think that's the key to this too, is like, let's not rule that out, that they're okay with getting rid of a bunch of picks to pick up a potential cornerback.
Going to do something we usually don't do. I'm going to cut off Ron for a quick break. We'll be back with Ron to continue the Vikings discussion on the other side here on the Squad Show, which is brought to you today by Prize Picks. It's time to put together your entries. It's the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is done. Real football is ahead. We got college football today, Gophers, other games as well. Saturday, full slate. NFL the week after that. Prize Picks is the place to be. And they're offering major max discounts on the weekly flyer. Got to check that out as well. It's super simple to play. Just put together 2 to 6 stat projections, put your entry together, win up to 2,000 times your money. I like the flex play. You don't have to be perfect. 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. That's the sweet spot for me. Can still profit. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. We got Ron Johnson on the show. Gophers tonight. Ron on the postgame show here. Luke Braun, what do you got for Ron?
Yeah, Ron, so Adam Thielen rejoins, but he's obviously not going to be the same guy in 2018, 2019. We talked about that a lot, but what changes as a wide receiver ages that we should be aware of?
Oh, I mean,
asking a spring chicken like Ron then.
Waking up out of bed. I mean, it's just
I wasn't
going to
go
stuff.
There.
So here's the thing, like, it's the recovery, it's the ability to bounce back. And it's not just receivers. I mean, Peyton Manning brought that up. Remember, he didn't practice when he was with the Broncos on, like, I think Wednesdays, because he was trying to get that extra day of rest. And so his Wednesdays, I remember you probably remember the videos of him like in the cold tub, but he had the helmet on so he could hear practice. So he could hear all the play calls. He could hear everything the coaches were saying to the backup quarterbacks. And then Thursday he'd be ready to go. But little stuff like that, like Thielen is going to get a ton of like vet rest days, and we've seen those a lot where it's just did not practice, but whatever they call it, I forgot how they designate it, veteran rest or whatever.
Rest,
did not practice but rest. I guarantee we're going to see a lot of that from Thielen, probably Harrison Smith for sure, because I think that was the one thing Harrison said, that Kevin O'Connell told him like, hey, whatever you do, if you come back, I'll take care of you. And we've seen the Kevin O'Connell bit, where he's talking about like every time I would call the Harrison, I didn't want to talk football. I was like, you tell me when you're ready to talk football. I don't want to talk football. How's golf? How's the kids? Are you ready to talk football yet? Like Thielen's going to be on that same path. Like, hey, let's not overdo this. We know what you can get us done on Sundays. Because if you remember, and I think on the squad show, Sam, we talked about this, Thielen's fall off that one year. I can confirm he was hurt. He had an injury that year.
That makes sense.
He had like a little bit of I think it was a meniscus, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Like it was something minor, but it was like irritating.
He lost a lot of explosiveness that final year.
Yeah,
he limped all over the place. Like he was not walking
for sure. Like the meniscus type of, but again, it wasn't like the JJ McCarthy where it was like a full tear. It was like one of those where it just was like little pieces that eventually had to be shaved down. Nothing that required a replacement. And or it was something like that, or it was like a kneecap type thing, but it was something with his knee, because I remember he fell and went straight down to his knee. I remember he limped off the field, and then like I think a series later he was back on the field but kind of limping, and he had like a pad. If you go back and look at that video, he had like a pad thing they put over his knee, and then he taped it on. So it was something with like the kneecap-ish area that whenever he landed on it, it would re-aggravate it and it hurt. So yeah, he lost a lot that year. He sat out a lot of practice. He missed time there. Justin Jefferson kind of took over. Now he's coming back healthy. He's ready to go, but I think they remember that. Like, we don't want an injured Adam Thielen out there on the field. We rather him be 100% for Sundays because we know what he's going to give us. So there's no reason to waste, getting messed up in practice. I think the biggest thing is, hey, the plays. Let's get back into our playbook. Let's get back into how you and Justin work together now, and then prepare for whoever it is, whether it's Naylor, Miles Price, whoever they have out there in that grouping until Addison's back. Naylor, hopefully it's Naylor. That's what I think it is. I think Thielen, I'd say getting out of bed and then bouncing back. Like, he's not the Wolverine, so he doesn't heal as fast anymore. If you guys remember, the Wolverine actually did die in one of the movies, but he did come back. It just took him longer.
Spoiler.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
He's old though. He's old. I don't want to ruin it, but if you watch to the end,
both World Wars, man.
The dirt shakes a little bit at the end of the movie. So it's kind of like he just gets older and it takes him longer to come back, even though Deadpool tried to prove his grave was still a grave, but I don't believe that one.
Sam's taking notes. Sam's taking notes right now.
Deadpool isn't canon. You heard it here first from Ron Johnson on the Ron Johnson Show.
Ron, so Sam's going to make us talk about the UDFAs later. So we'll have a specific discussion in a bit. But,
at gunpoint.
Yeah, at gunpoint. But I did want to kind of know, like, for them more than most people, I think, surviving cut down day is a little bit more precarious than it is for, like, say, Justin Jefferson, who neither had to worry about surviving, nor does he have to worry about being like a week one cut or something like that. And I know you can never truly relax in the NFL, but when can you feel a little bit more comfortable that the roster spot that you have is like actually one that you could expect to have week one? Is it game day, or is there like a point during practices where you're like, okay, I think I could just be a little bit more comfortable that I've got the spot?
If you're undrafted free agent, and it depends on this little depth chart. So if you go through this list, I'll just go defensively. If I am Elijah Williams, for instance, Taki Tamani was in front of him, but he ended up on the practice squad. You got rid of, Gabriel Murphy's back, but on practice squad. Tyler Batty is hurt. Harrison Phillips got released. So if I'm Elijah Williams, I'm probably good, but you're like, even if, like, say they go to the 53 and he's inactive, he's not one of the 49 that dress, stuff like that. Like that's the kind of the thing. Like, do you ever really feel comfortable? But here's where I always go about this. And it's a verse in the Bible that talks about, don't worry. And you can never, and it's hard to do because Greg Coleman, we had him on the show, and if you go back and watch some of his advice to the players, he talks about the mustard seed. But Greg Coleman was always a big one of how many days of your life can you add by worry? None. You're going to take them away, actually, because you're going to spend so many days worried and not like thankful for where you are. You're going to forget to enjoy where you are. And I think that's where some of these players have to get to. But I'd say probably week 2. I mean, honestly, like week 1 is still like a weird week.
Okay, yeah.
I'd say week 2, you're probably like, okay. But here's the thing. I think by week, I forgot what week they do this, but like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is when they start bringing in workout guys.
The tryouts, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's week 4. I have to go back and look at when that date can start. But yeah, as guys get cut, you see guys flying in and out all the time. So it's always that like worry of like, damn, what position do these guys play?
They worked out 3 defensive tackles. Does that mean something?
Right. Yeah. Quarterback. So you're Max Brosmer and you're like, man, did I not do enough? Like, what is going on? Why are they still looking at another quarterback? Like that's the thing it is. Like, so you're right. If there's a bunch of D linemen showing up, I mean, honestly, they don't have any cornerbacks to have to worry, but
it's just 4 guys who are
correct.
Like,
but if I'm like Tavier Thomas, Sam's guy, I would be worried if all of a sudden I see, Ryan Clark walking into the building for a workout, you're probably like, oh man.
I'd feel comfortable.
Oh man, I'm going to lose all the debates. It's great stuff from Ron Johnson. He dishes it out on Tuesdays on the Ron Johnson Show, squad shows on Wednesdays as well. Check him out on TV, Gophers pregame, and here at Locked On, Gophers postgame on the postcast with Luke Inman. Ron, can't wait for that, and we'll hear from you later.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm debating on doing like a man on the street bit today down there. So I think I might do like a Max Brosmer, like ask fans, what do they, what do they think Max Brosmer can be in the NFL or something like that. See if I can get some funny responses.
Perfect. I love that.
It'd be great.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it though, because I got to do it in between commercials. Yeah, I want to do something like that where I get to mess with fans for the Ron Johnson Show and just get the temperature.
You could pull the Titans bit and
hire
do the mumble.
Like, what did you?
What about a live witness news bit? Like, how many wins do you think Max Brosmer will have as the starting quarterback of the Vikings?
And see what they think about that.
See if people buy it.
What? Yeah. JJ McCarthy's not going to start? Yeah, Kevin O'Connell named Max Brosmer the starter already.
Yeah,
week 1.
They've been dissatisfied with him all offseason.
JJ McCarthy got suspended with the University of Michigan. No Michigan players.
Weight and that was it.
If you get suspended, no Michigan players can actually play in their first NFL game. That's the suspension of Michigan.
It's a good rule. No more Michigan players in the NFL. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
But we like Josh Metellus.
We like Josh Metellus. He wasn't part of the cheating, though. You have to be a Harbaugh guy, like within the cheating scandal.
No, it's not nothing.
Connor
it's just
Stallions.
Cringe.
Get
him out of here.
Yeah, actually, the whole state. Sorry, Ron. The whole state.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit much.
Sorry, Kirk.
Sorry, Kirk.
We're going to rank some UDFAs when we come back. Thanks a lot, Ron. You're the man.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Be right back on the Squad Show, ranking all 7 UDFAs.
This is Minnesota Sports Rankum, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Dun, 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 dun. Let's rank all 7 UDFAs on the Vikings roster and do it fast before somebody gets cut. Should we start with 7 or 1?
I feel like starting at 7 is
this for like making an impact this year, or how I like them,
impact this year.
Next
year. Impact in 2025. Number 7. Let's move it around quickly. You'll start with Arif Hasan.
If it's impact and not like how much I like them or whatever, I guess it's Joe Huber. I feel like he's not likely to get special team snaps, unlike some of these other guys I would typically rank behind him. He's unlikely to enter the game. If he does enter the game, that season's over. Like, okay.
That's like 4 injuries deep.
Yeah, we're cooked, right?
At the same position.
Yeah, so it's not bad to have a 10th offensive lineman or anything like that, but I just think that you're not in a spot where he's going to be making a big impact. So I think that he's number 7 for me, even though there are other guys I think are a little bit less talented for their position on the roster as a UDFA.
Yeah, can't argue with that. O-line versus guys like DN, linebacker, inside linebacker, return guy. I mean, it's the special teams factor, I think, when we're talking about instant impact. So I got to go Huber at 7 as well.
Yeah, the 10th offensive lineman is often a healthy scratch. So it's and I think he's the only one that would be regularly a healthy scratch on this list.
I went with Brosmer. I mean, I think because even though he's the 10th lineman,
but I hate that.
But it's not, School is not going to play guard. So there's not actually 4 in front of him. There's like 1 or 2 people in front of Huber, probably 2 people in front of Huber. So that's the same as Brosmer. I just think that, I think it's unlikely Brosmer sees the field this year, but that's okay.
Are we 100% confident Brosmer's QB3? I just want to throw that out there a little bit.
This is why I put him over Huber on the off chance.
I've got Huber only a matter of time. Week 8, week 10, week 12, we could get there. Better chance Brosmer gets there than Huber, I feel like. So, but either way,
I would actually enjoy. This is like the rare QB3. I would be pretty fired up to see how he could do in a game. If we're there, things have gone badly, but I'd be pretty excited. So I've got Huber 6. How about you, Inman?
Yeah, I guess I'll go Brosmer as well for the same talking points you mentioned. Again, after this, I feel like we're going to start to get into guys that are actually going to see the field, even if it is only 4 or 5 special team snaps. So again, talking about instant impact, I would put Brosmer at 6 as well.
Yeah, at least Brosmer will be in pads. I don't know if Huber will be in pads, so he is 6th to me. But because he'll probably be the emergency quarterback and not even allowed to go in until the other 2 guys get hurt.
It's true. Yeah.
He still can't be above all these other guys who I think will genuinely take the field at least a couple times on special teams.
Yeah, this is like the difference between the impact metric and the how much we like this guy metric, because I think he's probably number 1 for all of us on the other one. So
Elijah.
Yeah. I 6, but I don't like how you have made us do this, Sam. It's
not hate to put him 6th. It's just that he's probably he's not allowed to see the field.
Yeah, he's literally the rules prevent him from seeing the field.
He's getting hosed if you think about it.
Yeah, it's another sin for Carson Wentz to add to the list.
I'm going to go with
a raw deal.
Austin Keys 5. Anyone?
I also have that.
Yeah,
I could. I guess. Yeah.
To me, okay, so because defensive tackles do rotate in regularly, right, and linebackers do not, and there's 2 guys ahead of them, I guess I have to go with Austin Keys. But man, I think he is going to make an impact on special teams. I think that he is going to matter.
Yeah, I think there's 3 undrafted rookies that will get in from scrimmage or like Miles Price, who holds a punt return job, and that's a little different. But with both Chaz Chambliss and Austin Keys, who will exclusively play special teams, I think Chambliss will be more impactful than Keys, but I do think that that's your 4 and your 5.
Yeah, the other one would be Chambliss.
That's what I have. Chambliss 4. Inman, do you differ?
I would actually put Elijah there, just because he's so buried. And again, this is not a ranking of who I like, as far as the potential over the next couple of years. But I think Chambliss is going to make a big impact on special teams. I think he had 44 special team snaps this preseason, so they clearly like him in that role. I think he's just going to be a full-time special teams guy. So I think I'd put Elijah there and then Chambliss right below him.
I think so. For me, one is that Elijah does seem to take special team snaps, against what you expect
for a kickoff.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason I didn't quite put him, in the Chambliss Keys tier. But yeah, he's next above these guys. But you're just more likely to see him just kind of rotate in for 10 or so snaps over the course of a 4 or 5 game period. Just at defensive tackle, because sometimes that's what you do. And he's not necessarily going to likely be active or anything like that. But if he is, I would expect to see him on the field. And so I'm putting him above Chambliss and Keys, because you still might actually get special team snaps from him. And then on top of that, when he is active, I expect him to actually play from scrimmage, where somebody like a Chambliss, I wouldn't actually expect that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Elijah 3rd.
I have Urasek 3. Urasek 3.
Oh, you're high on Elijah.
Yeah, I have Elijah Williams up there because of like I envisioned him rotating in, but now that I'm thinking about it, I might be overrating him a lot because last year the 6th D tackle was a healthy scratch. It was Levi Drake Rodriguez. Now Elijah Williams, I think at this point looks better than Levi Drake Rodriguez did last year. Mm-hmm. So it might be different, and maybe they do want all 6 active, but if they're going to do the numbers game the same that they did last year, one of these D tackles will be in sweats on the sideline. That guy might be Elijah Williams, especially as he deals with a hamstring injury. So he might be down in the Joe Huber thing, and I may have overrated him, but you know what? I'm happy overrating him. That dude rules.
He's fun.
I've got him too because I think they've got a big collection of high upside young D tackles. And I think that to some extent, this coaching staff has been sort of, you earn your way onto the active roster any given week. We don't necessarily have a pecking order. Like if you play really well in practice, we will give you an opportunity to play 10 snaps. Kyrie's Tonga comes to mind, kind of came out of nowhere and got that niche role for a while back in 22. That was kind of fun. I think that could happen with Elijah if he flashes for a stretch. But I don't think that they will necessarily bury him in redshirt fashion.
I think we're not going to see him for the first couple of weeks.
Correct.
But I do think that we're probably, in part because of the injury concern, but I do think that we're going to see him kind of rotate in as the season kind of progresses. So after that, it's just between Urasek and Price, right? Well, Price is the only returner, so I have to go with Urasek.
Yeah, Urasek too. Not happy about it. Don't love it. Wouldn't even be surprised if maybe over the next 10 days he's not even on the team. Maybe they make a move at that. Well, yeah, I said it.
Hey, they're already trading for corners. They got work to do.
Yeah, he's
before they fix tight end. This is the guy.
No, it's like, hey, we're gonna pick swap 5th and a 6th for your corner. Can you throw in a tight end 4 for me? Because that's actually my new tight end 3. Can you just throw one in for me?
I mean, I wouldn't want to trade Josh Oliver either, but I don't know why you.
Josh Oliver might be your starting fullback right now.
It's true.
Oh, he is. So Price, clear cut, number 1 with a bullet for everybody.
One.
That's number 1 for me. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk impact? I don't know about positive or negative, but he sure will be returning the punts.
It is funny that like the number 1 guy in this list might be a guy that they're actively hoping to replace, whereas guys 2 through 6 are a little bit safer. but like they could just find a punt returner and be like, okay, finally we can get somebody who knows how to hold on to the ball. Price is number 1, but like by week 2, he could be number 7 or not eligible, right? Like it's kind of an interesting scenario.
Now, give me your top 3, not instant impact, but just your favorite UDFAs. Is it Brosmer, Elijah, Huber? I'm sure, Sam, you got Huber in your top 3.
Huber, number 1.
Huber, Brosmer, Elijah. I think that's my top 3. In particular order.
Yeah, I think it's Brosmer 1 for me, Elijah 2. I don't really care about 3. The rest of them
for me, 3 is Urasek. But yeah, it's Brosmer 1, Elijah 2.
So is Gavin Bartholomew alive? Like that back injury seems gotten. Oh, he is.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't expect him. He no designation to return. He is on IR, season ending.
Toast.
Wow.
Yep.
Yikes.
That's why they traded for Carson Wentz.
Okay. Day 3 picks.
Yeah.
Tight end for Carson Wentz. Lingering 53-man roster makeup takeaways. Any surprises? It's still like, have you waken up at night since it dropped on Tuesday?
Kingdom for a cornerback? Yeah.
I mean,
they have 6 in the whole building. 6 of them. They have 1 inside cornerback in the whole building.
Moreau makes it all okay.
Okay. First of all,
inside cornerback. The only other guy's Tavier Thomas, and they moved him to safety. What are we doing?
I will say that I do like that they added Fabian Moreau as a practice squad guy. He seems like a perfect elevation guy. And I will say, of course, that Jay Ward and Tavier Thomas will operate as shadow depth for cornerbacks. But like Luke's hysterics, as funny as they are a little closer to accurate than I would like.
I think of it this way. 6 years after Phil Lodeholt tore his Achilles and the O-line had been bad. That was 2020. So we had dealt with 6 years of bad O-line. Think of how frustrated you were with the O-line in 2020 with Drew Samia and Dakota Dozier in there. We are to that point with cornerbacks since Rhodes and Waynes left. They have not had a serious room. They've had old stop gaps, the occasional old man hoops season, and like Holton Hills. It's dreadful.
Yeah. Like if we relitigate
Holton Hill
2019.
It's been half of a decade, and it's going to be another half of a decade before the room is good again. Oh my God, get corners.
Harrison Hand just got cut, by the way. You can add him back.
Ah!
2019 comes
Hey,
around.
that's what happens when you miss on a top 40 pick. It sets you back a little bit.
No, they missed on like 6 draft picks too. Like, oh my God, get somebody halfway serious.
Correct.
Andrew Booth just got caught too. You could have him back.
Did he? I thought he made it. Wait. I thought Caleb Evans and Andrew Booth both made teams, and I was like, the 2022 draft class isn't so bad after all, huh?
Yeah. By the way, so we're talking about the Vikings 22 draft class. The Packers 23 draft class, which had 13 players on it, seems to be about as bad. We were talking about Kalen King, but also like Sean Clifford. It's, I mean,
is that the one they got Luke Musgrave in?
Yeah, it's the one they got. So
still the worst player on the Packers.
So the
and
two
Bill
players,
a corner.
So the 2 out of those 13 players that have actually turned out pretty good are Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft. Which it still feels like Tucker Kraft was like an accident. Like they didn't mean to draft him.
No, they took Musgrave before him.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just like, let's take another one.
Who's just bad. But like everyone else they drafted is just it's like the 22 Vikings draft. It's incredible.
It happens. Vikings didn't even have the worst draft of 2022.
Was it okay? Do we think 2022 was just a bad year? Because we're talking about how bad
it was for a lot of people, but the
Yeah.
Patriots did even worse.
Outstanding. That's incredible. But which is how they probably ended up with Kyrie Tonga, Vikings legend.
Vikings legend had his hands full with Michael Juergens in the preseason.
Is the
Chandler,
Packers
hang on.
O-line good? They took like 3
No.
O-linemen that year. And I feel like I don't.
Zach
not
Thomas
trouble.
good. Elton
If
Jenkins
the Packers
is good.
O-line, I don't know much about the Packers offensive line this year going into the season.
It's. I don't think it's their chief problem. I think their chief problem is that right now they have their corner room is looking a little Miami-ish. It's certainly an interesting thing. Their D-line is essentially running back the same group that was terrible last year and hoping that coaching fixes it. That's why they're in the Micah Parsons rumor mill. And then they've got Matthew Golden, who's listed at wide receiver 3, who was dunking on all those bad corners and drumming up hype. And then, like, I don't know who else. Got like other guys that I don't even know if they wanted to keep.
I think Rasul Douglas is free. Maybe the Packers could add him back. Is that...
Douglas signed. No?
I mean,
maybe
they're having the same conversations we are about, like, I don't know, this 35-year-old, like,
yeah. What about this retiree?
will Patrick Peterson dust him off? Like,
someone in the comments was like, "Hey, I don't like how you're talking about how old these guys are. They're like a year younger than me." And it's just like that tweet, right? Like, "Oh, I'm 32. I've got a full life ahead of me. Life is great." And then a sportscaster, "There he goes, the oldest player in the league, 35. It's a miracle he's alive." Douglas is in Miami. Thank you, James. Now, yeah.
That's the squad show for today. We will be back on Monday. It'll be a predictions show, I think. Prediction show Monday. We do our regular season gambling on Thursday. So a lot to come. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Enjoy the Gophers tonight. And check out Arif Hasan on Wide Left, Luke Braun on Locked On Vikings, Luke Inman on the postcasts, both Gophers and Twins, soon to be Vikings. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Glad you joined us. Thanks for commenting. See ya.